After the betrayal, something changed. You didn't just lose trust in them. You lost trust in yourself, in your judgment, in your ability to read people, in your own instincts. You second-guess everything now. You scan for signs. You look for hidden meanings. You wait for the other shoe to drop, even when there's no reason to. And you wonder, will I ever trust again? Will I ever feel safe again? Will I ever stop waiting for the next betrayal? That's not paranoia. That's not brokenness. That's your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do, trying to protect you from a threat it doesn't know how to identify. By the end of this video, you won't just understand why trust feels impossible after betrayal. You'll understand the neuroscience of broken trust, why your brain has become hypervigilant, and how to rebuild your capacity to trust without ignoring the signs. And that changes everything. Because the goal isn't to go back to the way you were. The goal is to become someone who trusts wisely, not naively, not fearfully, but with open eyes. Most people who've been betrayed believe something terrible about themselves. They believe they're broken, or permanently damaged, or that they'll never be able to trust again. They believe that their innocence is gone, their optimism is gone, their ability to love without fear is gone. And that belief is the heaviest thing you're carrying right now. Heavier than the betrayal itself. Heavier than the grief. Heavier than the loneliness. Let me say this as clearly as I can. That's not brokenness. That's adaptation. That's your brain learning from experience. You're not permanently damaged. You're permanently changed. And change isn't the same as brokenness. It's the opposite. It means you're alive. It means your brain is doing what it's supposed to do, protecting you from future harm. The hypervigilance you feel isn't a flaw. It's a feature. It's your brain trying to keep you safe. The problem isn't that your brain is broken. The problem is that your brain is working too well, responding to a past threat as if it's still present. And that's something you can work with. That's something you can heal. Here's what actually happens in your brain after betrayal. Your brain has a built-in threat detection system, the amygdala. When you're betrayed, your amygdala fires hard. It creates a fear memory that's incredibly strong. And once that memory is formed, your brain becomes hypervigilant. It scans for anything that resembles the threat, any inconsistency, any shift in tone, any unexplained change. It's trying to protect you from being hurt again. But here's the problem. The amygdala doesn't distinguish between past and present. It just responds. So even when you're safe, your brain is still scanning for danger. And that creates a state of chronic hyperarousal. You're always waiting, always watching, always ready for the next blow. Now here's where this gets even more complicated. Neuroscientists have found that betrayal doesn't just change your threat detection. It changes your ability to trust your own predictions. Your brain constantly builds models of the world based on past experience. It predicts what people will do, what they're likely to say, how they'll respond. Betrayal shatters that model. You trusted someone. You predicted they would be safe, and they weren't. So your brain goes, my predictions are wrong. I can't trust myself. This is why you doubt yourself now. Not because you're weak, because your brain learned that its predictions can be catastrophically wrong. It's not a character flaw. It's a survival mechanism. And here's the part that's hardest to hear. The person who betrayed you didn't just break your trust in them. They broke your trust in yourself. They broke your ability to believe that you can read people accurately. They broke your confidence in your own instincts. And rebuilding that not just trust in others, but trust in yourself is the real work. In midlife, this shows up in ways that feel even more devastating. You've invested years in your relationship. You built your life around trust. You made decisions based on the assumption that you were safe. And when that assumption is shattered, everything feels unstable. Your career, your friendships, your own sense of self. You question everything. You question everyone. And you wonder if you'll ever feel solid again. The answer is yes. But it won't be the same solidity you had before. It will be different. It will be wiser. It will be more grounded in reality. And that's not a loss. That's an upgrade. So here's the question I want you to sit with. Not will I ever trust again? But what would it mean to trust myself enough to know when someone is safe? Not, how do I go back to the way I was? But what would it mean to become someone who trusts wisely, not naively, not fearfully, but with open eyes? Not, why is this so hard? But what part of me is trying to protect me from a threat that isn't here anymore? Because the answer to that question is where the real healing lives. Not in forcing yourself to trust, not in pretending you're fine, in understanding that your hypervigilance is a signal that something needs attention, not from them, from you. The person who betrayed you is gone, but your brain is still responding to them. Your amygdala is still sounding the alarm, and the only way to calm it down is to teach it slowly and patiently that the danger has passed. Not by ignoring it, not by suppressing it, by acknowledging it, by saying, I see you. I know you're trying to protect me, but we're safe now. The trust you're trying to rebuild isn't really about them. It's about you. It's about learning to trust yourself again, to trust your judgment, to trust your instincts, to trust that you can handle whatever comes. And that's the work, not waiting for someone to prove they're trustworthy, but becoming someone who trusts themselves enough to know. Here's what Jung understood that most people spend their whole lives missing. The betrayal didn't just break your trust. It broke your illusion. The illusion that you could control the outcome of your relationships. The illusion that if you just loved enough, you'd be safe. The illusion that people are predictable. And the shattering of that illusion is painful, but it's also necessary. Jung said that the most painful experiences in our lives are often the most necessary. Not because suffering is good, but because the psyche, the deep non-rational intelligence of who you are, will keep creating the same situations until you finally see what it's trying to show you. The betrayal was showing you something. It was showing you that you had outsourced your safety to someone else, that you had made them the keeper of your worth, that you had mistaken their love for proof that you were okay. And when they broke your trust, they broke that illusion. Not because they were cruel, but because the illusion was never real to begin with. The trust you're trying to rebuild isn't about them. It's about you. It's about learning to trust yourself. Trust your judgment. Trust your ability to recover. Trust that you can survive disappointment and still be whole. The person who betrayed you did not destroy your capacity for trust. They broke a version of trust that was never sustainable. The version that assumed you were safe because you love them. The trust that comes after is different. It's wiser. It's more grounded. It's more awake. And that's not a loss. That's an evolution. After the betrayal, something changed. Not because you're broken, because you're awake. You see things now that you couldn't see before. You feel things that you couldn't feel. You know that trust isn't a given, it's earned. And that's not cynicism. That's wisdom. The hypervigilance isn't the enemy. It's the signal that you've learned something. The goal isn't to go back to the way you were. The goal is to integrate what you've learned and become someone who trusts wisely, with open eyes, not closed ones. Next week, we're going to look at why the person who raised you is why you keep choosing wrong, the childhood wounds that become adult patterns, and specifically how your earliest attachments shape your relationship choices. Before you go, drop one word in the comments. The thing you're still holding onto that you need to let go of. Fear, shame, hope, control, something. Even one word. I'll know what you mean.